Hello, boys and girls. It is finally time to finish our book, Tonight on the Titanic by Mary Pope Osborne. Are you ready to find out what happens to Jack and Annie and the Titanic? If you remember right, last time Jack and Annie got separated. Annie was trying to help rescue their friends, William and Lucy, and she got rescued in the meantime. Or so the people thought. They thought they were rescuing Annie, but do you remember what they really did? They separated her and Jack. So let's find out what happens. Ready? Chapter 8. Every man for himself. "Annie!" cried Jack. "Let me out!" he heard Annie shout, but the lifeboat kept going down. "Wait for me!" came a loud voice. "Wait for me!" A woman in a fur coat appeared at the railing. She nearly threw herself over the side of the ship. "Stop!" the uniformed man called. "Bring the boat back up for Lady Blackwell." Slowly the lifeboat was brought back up. Jack pushed his way forward. The lifeboat came even with the ship. Jack reached out to Annie. She grabbed his hands. He pulled her back onto the sinking ship. "Room for one more," Annie shouted to Lady Blackwell. Then she and Jack took off before anyone could catch them. They ran up the slanting deck. Annie stopped and peered over the railing. Jack looked too. They saw Lucy and William's little lifeboat creaking down toward the Atlantic Ocean. It reached the glassy black water. Then it floated off into the darkness. Annie waved. "Bye, William! Bye, Lucy!" she shouted. "Thank you for your gift." She held up the watch that hung from her neck. Then she and Jack looked at it. The time was 2:05. "Only 15 minutes left," said Annie. "We have to get back to the treehouse now," said Jack. "Let's climb the stairs into the smokestacks." Suddenly, the front of the ship dipped down into the sea. Deck chairs started to slide past Jack and Annie. The band played a slow, calm song. It sounded like a church hymn, but the crowd started to panic. People pushed and shouted, trying to get to a safer part of the ship. "It's every man for himself!" the captain shouted to all the crew. The men all stopped what they were doing and ran up the deck. Jack and Annie ran too. They dodged sliding tables and chairs. They reached the stairs that led to the smokestacks. They grabbed the railing and pulled themselves up the steps. The ship tilted further. "Get to the smokestacks!" cried Jack. They slipped and crawled down the deck. But when they got to the smokestacks, Jack and Annie looked around wildly. The magic treehouse was gone. What are they going to do? Chapter 9. Time stops. "Where is it?" shouted Annie. The front of the Titanic sank deeper into the sea. Jack and Annie fell forward. They grabbed the railing and held on for their lives. "Maybe the treehouse fell into the ocean," shouted Jack. A great roar started coming from the ship. Jack imagined everything crashing forward. All the furniture, dishes, bicycles, the grand clock on the staircase. He looked down. A giant wave of water rolled over the lower deck. Jack imagined water flooding the third-class corridor, the card room, and the grand staircase. He closed his eyes, waiting to be washed away. The barking came from Teddy all of a sudden. "Teddy!" cried Annie. Jack had forgotten all about the little dog. Holding onto the railing, he used one hand to pull up his knapsack. Teddy wasn't there. There was more frantic barking. "Where's Teddy?" cried Annie. "He's calling us," shouted Jack. Look at them holding on for dear life. Their feet can barely touch because the boat's slanting so much. "We can't look for him," said Jack. "We'll fall off the ship." Teddy barked and barked. "He's close by," said Annie. She held on to the railing and moved slowly down the steep deck. "Annie!" cried Jack. Suddenly, the lights in the Titanic went out. The world was pitch black. It was completely dark. Jack couldn't see Annie at all. "Annie!" he shouted. He tried to move down the deck too, but the ship tilted again. Jack slipped and fell. He rolled until he crashed into a smokestack. "Jack!" cried Annie. "Here, here!" Teddy kept barking. The back of the Titanic was rising out of the ocean. The front of the ship was going down. Jack tried to go around the smokestack without falling. In the dark, he could barely see the treehouse. It was stuck between a smokestack and the railing. It was lying on its side. Annie and Teddy were looking out the window. "Teddy's barking! Let me hear!" cried Annie. "Hurry, Jack!" Jack crawled through the smokestack. He held out his hand. Annie grabbed it. She pulled him into the treehouse. Teddy licked his face. "I wish we could go there," shouted Annie, pointing at the Pennsylvania book. Jack heard a loud crack. The wind started to blow. The treehouse started to spin faster and faster and faster. Then everything was still. Absolutely still. Chapter 10, A Touch of Magic. "Oh, man," whispered Jack. He was lying on the floor of the treehouse. He was wearing his pajamas and rain poncho again. "You okay?" Annie asked. "Yeah, you?" said Jack. "My heart's beating really fast," said Annie. "Mine too," said Jack. "We barely got out of that one." He thought of the Titanic sinking into the cold black sea. His eyes filled with tears. "It was terrible," he said. Annie nodded. Jack could see tears on her cheeks too. Teddy licked Jack's face. "Hey," said Jack, "how did you get out of my knapsack?" Teddy whined. Jack and Annie stroked his furry head and ears. "I think he has a touch of magic," said Annie. Slowly Jack sat up. "He saved our lives," he said, "and now we have the first gift to break the spell he's under," said Annie. She turned on her flashlight. She shined it on the silver pocket watch that hung from her neck. "Lucy's gift," she said. The watch had stopped. The hands were at 2:20. Jack was silent. Then he sighed. "That's exactly when the ship went down," he said. Annie looked at him. "I guess that's when time stopped for the Titanic," she said. Jack nodded. Annie put the pocket watch on top of Morgan's note. "A gift from a ship lost at sea," she said softly. They were both quiet. Then Jack took off his glasses and wiped the tears from his eyes. Annie stood up. She took a deep breath. "I'm ready to go," she said. "Let's put Teddy in your pack and take him home with us." She shined her flashlight around the treehouse. "Teddy," she said. There was no sign of the little dog. "He's not here," said Annie. "What are you talking about?" said Jack. "We were just petting him." "He's up to his magic tricks again," said Annie. She sighed. "We'll have to go home without him." "But what happened to him?" said Jack. "I don't know," said Annie, "but I have a feeling we'll see him again soon." She started down the rope ladder. Jack looked around the treehouse one last time. "Teddy," he said, but the treehouse was quiet. Jack pulled on his backpack and climbed down the rope ladder. Annie was waiting for him. Without a word, Jack took her hand. The rain had stopped, but the water still dripped from the trees. Stars glittered overhead in this clear sky. Suddenly, Jack and Annie left the Frog Creek woods. They walked up the dark street to their porch house very quietly and climbed the steps to their porch. Before they went inside, they looked out again at the night. "Time must have stopped for the Titanic," Jack said, "but books and memories keep the Titanic alive, don't they? It's a true story, but it's also like a myth now." "Yeah," said Annie, "and every time the story's told, we wish it had a different ending." Jack nodded. That's exactly how he felt. Staring at the starry sky, he shuddered at the memory of the sinking ship. He knew that he and Annie were lucky they had a good home. "Good night, Titanic," he said softly. "Goodbye." Then he and Annie slipped quietly into their house, where it was cozy and dry and very, very safe. Well, that was a fun book, and we're going to read another one soon and find out about another one of Jack and Annie's adventures. I hope that you have a great rest of your day and that we can see each other soon. Bye.